In the Memoirs of a Soviet Pilot, a gunner of the IL-2 attack aircraft, describes an interesting episode that occurred in the winter of 1943 on the Eastern Front. Then they received an order to drop leaflets over the German positions with the call to surrender as prisoners of war. And also it was necessary to destroy previously discovered divisional points, an army point of the enemy, in which the Germans led the troops. The assignment is difficult and dangerous. It had not a single % for survival. We flew in a full formation of 4 attack aircraft, successfully dropped leaflets and destroyed points, but were themselves well beaten by anti-aircraft guns. Planes and fuselage were shot through, but the engines were not hit and they still worked well. Now we had to go all together, all 4 of us, to cross the front line, and at the same time not to be shot down. The main thing here was to get to the neutral strip, and then immediately fly to our own territory. But only 2 planes were able to pass the front, and the remaining 2 attack aircraft were shot down. And here we are flying over our territory, and suddenly I see that 2 German fighters decided to intercept us. They descend from the heights and sit on our tail. When I noticed them, I immediately told the pilot, "Now there will be a fight. You don't have to do the standard maneuvers, but you have to go back and forth, like a chatter." The pilot does all this, but the Germans still do not break away, stubbornly flying behind us, the leading and wingman, who covers. Then I went to the trick. I give 1 rocket, then the second and third, and the German pilots clearly know that these rockets say that either machine gun does not work, or something happened to the shooter. They became bolder, began to come closer. I see it all and keep them in my sights. And when I let the enemy to 300 meters, instead of the minimum 400 meters, I hit them with a long burst. The first plane caught fire and the pilot had to jump. The second plane got away. And we flew after the parachutist and watched him so he wouldn't try to escape. If he did, we would destroy him. He landed in the area of our rear troops, and he was immediately captured. I flew to my airfield, and there we were met by a representative of the Army Aviation, who had already been informed that the attack aircraft with the number 13 had shot down a German fighter with a pilot who had flown on the Eastern Front from June 1942 to December 20, 1943 and had shot down 101 Soviet planes. This ace pilot had to be delivered to Moscow, and since our regiment was the closest to the front line, the German was brought to us first of all. A messenger came to me and shouted, "The regiment commander urgently summons you." I ran, and the whole flight technical staff of our regiment had already gathered there. They all want to see the German. Then the regiment commander says to me, "Come on," he says, "let's go and see who you shot down." We come up, there is a German, his whole chest is covered with crosses and awards. I approached him, we started talking. Then it turns out that he understands Russian. I said to the German, "Thank me that you are alive and not landed as a corpse. Now you will work in our captivity, you will be fed, and when we defeat Nazi Germany, you and the prisoners will go home, where you will meet your parents and relatives." And he shouted back at me, "Heil Hitler." So I turned around and punched him in the face. Then they put the unkilled ace in the car and took him to the division headquarters, and from there they sent him to the Air Army in Moscow. Do you think the Soviet soldier did the right thing? Write your opinion in the comments, it will be interesting to know.